based where you are. Aysel and I today have the pleasure of introducing the second round of the DestinationZero Innovation Challenge. We're going to have a video, some Q&A, and some kind of final content around to help you with your application. I was one of the mentors on the last program, and Aysel was one of the incredibly impressive winners. I don't know if you want to just introduce yourself and your background briefly, Aysel.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Aysel. I am one of the finalists of last year's DestinationZero Challenge. I work in a company called Studio Bligh now. It's my company with my partners, and we are focused on recycling plastics within the city of Istanbul. I have a design and architecture background. So yeah, that's me in a short explanation.
And I think one of the great things about today's, I remember your pitch, your 60-second pitch video last time, being really kind of clear. You clearly had some kind of strong visual and kind of content presentation skills. So one of the things we'll be picking up today is you being able to give some tips and some Q&A on how to make sure in a 60-second video, people can make sure they get their points across and understand how to do as best they can within the competition.
Yes, I would love to share my knowledge.
I think the first thing we're going to do is play an overview video to give everyone a bit more information about the competition and how to apply. There's some all-important hashtags, I think, in there too, as always. Yeah, we'll watch the video first and we'll pick up from there.
The DestinationZero competition is back, and once again, the British Council is calling all the innovators, thinkers, makers and doers out there to share your ideas and innovations on how to tackle the climate crisis. We first launched the competition in January 2021 and received hundreds of great submissions worldwide. Of those, we selected 10 finalists from the places where voices are often overlooked in the mainstream climate change conversation. These trailblazers were awarded a £5,000 grant and mentorship to develop their innovative ideas, and their journeys continue today. As part of the British Council's Climate Connection campaign, we're pleased to open DestinationZero once again, a youth innovation competition and a call to action for the next generation of climate change innovators on the front lines of climate change. We want to provide a platform where your voice and your ideas can be heard, seen, and brought to life. When it comes to climate change, we all share a common path, fate, and ambition. That is why we're looking to empower today's youth to build their own better future. So, what kind of ideas are we looking for? This time, we're targeting projects that help communities build climate change resilience in the following 3 areas. Urban, innovations that help to transform slums into healthy, clean, and safe cities. Rural, innovations that help rural farmers to adapt to changing climates. Coastal, innovations that protect homes and businesses from climate disasters. Once again, we're looking to support the next generation of innovators, so you must be between 18 to 34 years old to enter. To enter the challenge, please share a 60-second video using the hashtag DestinationZero and hashtag The Climate Connection on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube or TikTok. Please be sure to clearly state your first name, age, and where you're from. Then explain your climate change idea or innovation. The competition is looking for ideas that tackle the 3 impact areas. Nothing is too big or small to share. The challenge runs from the 15th November to the 29th November, but we highly encourage you to submit as soon as possible. If you entered last year, you can submit again. But please demonstrate how your project has progressed, evolved, or moved forward since your previous submission. On the 11th December, we, with the help of a global panel of judges and experts, will announce the top 30 candidates and their submissions, who will be invited to share further information about their concepts. From there, we will select the 10 finalists, with the best proposals receiving a 5-month mentorship and financial support in the form of £5,000 to help bring the idea or innovation to life. Don't forget to submit your video by the 29th November 2021, midnight UK time, using the hashtag DestinationZero and hashtag the Climate Connection. Once submitted, stay tuned. Destination Zero, an innovation challenge from the British Council's Climate Connection, putting faces to the places at the core of finding real solutions in the climate change conversation. One world, one goal, infinite possibilities.
So we just saw the video about the, and hopefully giving you some more information about the competition. In case you joined a bit late, I was one of the mentors on the last program. I had the privilege of working with Aysel, who's here with me. She was one of the winners and had a particularly impressive video submission. And today we're going to get some tips from her about how she found the program, how to create a great submission. And if you have any questions, we'll be doing a Q&A at the end of this discussion. So please make sure that you post any questions in the comment section under the video, and we'll be picking them up in around 20-25 minutes or so. So yeah. I'm interested, Aysel. So we worked together for about 6 months, and I think I probably learned more from you than the other way around. But it was the token of the relationship was in theory a mentor-mentee relationship, but it was one that I certainly took a huge amount from. I was wondering just how you heard about the British Council competition in the first place, and what made you interested in applying for it.
Well, thank you, first of all. And you've been saying that in the mentorship conversations that we had as well. I heard about British Council through a colleague, and we decided, actually, me and my partners decided to enter it because we already had some information about a project. We already had a project in mind. And I myself did my thesis on plastic upcycling. So I already had a lot of data to share about this project. So we actually applied 2 days before. We started working on the video 2 days before the deadline. We did like this whole slumber party thing, and we took the shots and edited and everything. And well, it went very well. So that's that.
And was it kind of something particular? What were the benefits that you were hoping for from kind of participating in the competition? Like, what was your motivation?
Well, financial motivation was strong. I didn't really realize how much it would help at the end. Like, if I didn't know it would be this helpful. I thought it could kickstart a really good project, which it did. It actually kickstarted a whole new company with a whole new goal and a whole new business plan, thanks to you as well. Your advice was very valuable.
Thank you. I thought I was just asking you difficult questions, but hopefully there was...
Made me think.
Yeah. That's one of the good things about difficult questions, I guess. And from a preparing the pitch point of view, what kind of preparation did you find useful? Like, how did you think about making sure? Because 60 seconds, I guess, is a really short amount of time to sometimes summarize or kind of communicate what could be kind of a complex idea. And I think, your entry was particularly effective at that, which is why you're here to help other people. What kind of thinking or preparation did you do to make that easier or to create a good result?
So I had a little bit experience in that from before. I did videos for YouTube, and I also did a lot of explanation videos in architecture and design studies. For me, the most important thing is to be very to the point. So I usually, if it's a short video, if it's an explanatory short video, I leave all the extra details that are not crucial to explain out of it. And in a more technical sense, I found out that audio in video is also very important. So it's an added layer of information that actually engages the viewer more emotionally rather than with information. So if we have like a scene where we're showing an atmosphere that is degrading or something, the audio will make the viewer feel more passionately towards what they're seeing. So this kind of harmony between audio and video is very important. And audio could be these kind of sound effects, or it could be a voiceover, or it could be music, which is also very emotionally engaging.
Yeah, no, great. And were you applying kind of a scripting process? Like, how did you, from a really practical point of view, what kind of steps would you take from, I'm guessing you had some sort of very early idea through to quite a polished video? Kind of what was the process that you did to make sure you could communicate really clearly?
So the narrative usually goes from the normal, what is the problem, essentially? So what is happening right now? What is the issue? And then there's this explosion, which is your innovation. You kind of present your innovation, and then you start to explain a little bit in detail and try to a little bit inspire in the step the new normal. So how your change is going to actually impact the world. And with that, I guess you kind of polish it as you do it. You just create a draft first, and then you just come back to it every day, and then every day you polish it until it's a good video. I had like 2 days, but
yeah,
it still works.
that's what I was thinking. So,
it's always good to sleep on it, but I had no time to sleep on it.
Well, I guess it's good to have a hard deadline. I think I guess probably both of us would maybe recommend to give yourself more time, but I think it also shows that you can also do a really good job with not much time. Like, the most important thing is to have a few different revisions and kind of keep practicing with it. But there's tons of time left in this competition. I think there's 10 days until the 29th. But obviously, I think the official advice would be to start now and start early. But if you do end up finding you don't have much time, I guess, as an applicant, it's really important to remember the most important thing is to apply and to get something out there.
Yeah, actually, not that much time is also good sometimes. It helps the contestant to not overthink the situation. Just go straight for what makes sense.
And is there any, it's clear that you have some really strong experience in kind of creating audiovisual content. Is there any real no-nos in terms of things that you see people who are not so experienced do, or things that you think kind of aren't effective, or things that you would recommend people steer clear of?
I actually was watching all of the not all of it, but most of the DestinationZero applications, just to see what the competition is like, And I actually realized that there was an excessive amount of information. This is the thing that I said before. There were these details which are very important. I understand they're very important to the project, but they should be probably left out, so that in our minds the narrative is very clear and we really clearly understand what's the point of this innovation.
I think that really matches my experience. So I was both a mentor on the judge and a judge on the last round, and I found actually the biggest challenge with startup pitch decks is actually that people, if you include too much information, people actually don't understand. It's not that they don't think it's a good idea, it's actually you've given them so much information that they actually don't understand the concept, rather than they're thinking it's a bad concept. And as you say, I think really kind of less is more is a really valuable kind of mindset. It's important to remember that while it might be a problem or an area that someone has deep expertise in, as the person submitting the video, the people watching it may not have that same kind of expertise of the problem. And to your point, keeping a really high level, emotive, impactful, clear kind of explanation, and the details can go in the written application, but the video should be that really kind of high level summary of the kind of the key issues that you mentioned.
Yeah, and also I could say maybe 2 more things about the videos. I always appreciate when there is a sense of personality inside of a video, so it's not just you talking to a camera, it's more like you may be smiling at some point, or you're actually showing that you're passionate about this. Actually, I think changes the judge's mind. I would feel more connected to those kind of videos. And also, if we're sharing some information, it's always nice to give a little bit of data. So some kind of numbers that are easy to remember, not a lot of data, not maybe with visuals, like charts are always nice. That's what I try to do with my application. So I had those charts already from my thesis. I reused them because it was too find some data.
And from a written application process point of view, is there anything that you any advice that you would give, or any tips to get the best written application as the next stage?
To be realistic, so the prize money is not infinite. I think it helps to be realistic, to say that we're going to use this for this because that is how much it covers. Maybe if the project is too ambitious, maybe explaining it as this ambitious part is going to be in the future, and the start is going to be with this help, and the start could be something smaller, something more achievable, because yeah, it has to be believable as well.
Yeah, no, I think certainly from a judge perspective, I think one of the things that we were looking for is to make sure that people had, a realistic ambition for what their project would be, because I think the risk of too much ambition, while it's kind of admirable, I guess it really can increase the risk of actually kind of something kind of not working out. And as you say, having a good sense of it doesn't need to be that you're going to change the world through the program in step one. It's just that you can really make some good progress with your project at that point. So being really pragmatic about what you can do with new resources, I think is really great advice.
Thanks.
As ever, I'm just repeating things back at you and pretending they're my idea. And from the program point of view, and this is obviously a slightly difficult question for you to answer honestly, maybe because I was your mentor during the program. But I'm also fairly thick-skinned, so feel free to be honest. What did you find useful about the kind of the mentorship aspect? So I guess there's prize money within the competition, and there's also mentorship over the program, are the kind of two elements to give people hopefully a really strong combination of support to help develop their innovation kind of further. What did you find useful? Maybe what surprised you? How did that work? Hopefully it worked a tiny bit for you, but
it worked. Yeah, it definitely worked. Actually, it showed me like two things now that I think about it. First, the questions were the right questions. So when we were working on this project, there were millions of priorities, like what should we do about this? What should we do about that? But the questions that you were providing to me about the situation as an outsider were very valuable, because then I was taking this question to my partners, and then we're actually setting a kind of course for ourselves. And the second thing is that it showed me how important it is to talk to people. After talking to you, I would go and find other mentors for me as well. I would go to people who I trust, and I would tell them the story. So sharing, what I understood is that sharing your ideas is actually very important. There's this idea that if I share my idea, people will steal it. I find that to be kind of untrue, because it takes a good execution for an idea to be good. The idea alone is not worth that much. So yeah.
Yeah, and certainly in my experience, as you say, I've always found mentorship to be, hugely valuable. And actually, it's the kind of the innovators like you who are the rare thing to find. There's actually lots of ideas around. It's your value is in that you can actually deliver on those ideas, and actually mentorship is a great way to have different perspectives and different angles, and make sure you can move as fast as possible. It's certainly helped me many times in my career. And anything else about the program that you found to be kind of useful? Any surprises on kind of the impact it had, I guess? from being a winner, how that kind of moved the business idea forward. I wonder if it even made a difference from a validation point of view to say, actually, I've won this prestigious global prize, which actually recognises your many talents. I wonder if that was a bit of a boost, just to say, oh wow, actually, I really do know what I'm doing.
Well, in my point of view, I didn't kind of realize the fact that we won until this last section. So we actually won in around April. It was springtime when we were chosen to be the finalists. And then we got into this course of building the business plan, actually buying the machinery for recycling plastic. And then in September, it was announced that these are the British Council winners, and all the marketing started. Everybody started hearing. I started going to places to talk, and then I actually realized what this means, because it is, like you said, it is an important thing for people to show them that this establishment recognized me for that, and people immediately change the way they look at you and they talk with you. It's very important when you're talking.
I think maybe we lost you a tiny bit there, but I think you're back. I can see you blinking, so I think I've got a video from you again.
Did you hear?
Just picking up on that.
The last part?
We missed the ending, but I'm guessing kind of picking up on that point. I wonder, sometimes I think it can be underappreciated, and I think that was the point you were making, that the doors, that validation, that the doors that it can open, and how much people, it's not, obviously you get the support of the mentorship, you get the grant funding, but actually there's something about the badge from winning, I think, prestigious competitions, that suddenly people sometimes kind of have a different perception of you. I don't know how you found that in your case.
Yeah, definitely. It's a worldwide competition, so it helps. It's recognized worldwide. British Council is known everywhere. People like hearing that.
Yeah.
Talk to them.
Yeah. Any from a kind of application process point of view, any other kind of tips or recommendations of things, any kind of common pitfalls that you see people kind of fall into? That I mean, certainly an advice from me would be to just do it. Let the competition judge your idea. If you have an idea, just get it out there and share it, because you never know what's going to happen. Don't be kind of filtering yourself or prejudging whether people are going to think this is the kind of thing that should be done or not.
So I can say that I've learned in my studies that it's very important how you present your idea. So a video is a great space to use a lot of creativity to explain an idea, and I think presentations should have a lot of effort in them. So that's what I try to do always, even if it's like a PDF presentation, it's a video presentation. It should be worked on. I don't know if that makes sense. I think people should take presentations very seriously and prepare them as well as their ideas and narrative.
Say a bit, I think it's a really interesting and important point. Say a bit more maybe about what the value or the impact, like why do good presentations and good communication matter?
Well, it's basically marketing. Well, marketing yourself, marketing your idea. You know how they say it's 50% the product, 50% or something like that, the marketing. You basically need to tell people a story that they would want to be a part of. And people like hearing these kind of inspirational stories, and the better you tell it, the more people are going to be convinced. All of this information, the rational kind of the pragmatic information, goes up to a point. Okay, this makes sense, but people start actually getting attached to an idea because of the story part of it, the emotional part of it. I would say I'm not going to say that this is for sure. It's a fact, but that's my experience.
No, it's certainly mine as well. As you say, the rational, it needs to be a logical argument, but really, we're emotional beings, and being able to tell a story clearly in a way that people relate to means that you and your idea travel much further than it would otherwise. Just a reminder that people can add questions, and we'll do a Q&A section in a second. So if you have any questions that you'd like Aysel to answer, please keep putting them in the comment box under the video. I actually had another question around kind of technology and tools, and just kind of the really practical. You're clearly experienced in terms of creating that kind of content. Is there anything that you would share just around like practical ways, like whether that's software or hardware or things that people are likely to have that they may already own, and things that what's the kind of any tips that you can make the best out of resources that people have?
Can I name brands?
I don't know. I don't know either, but go for it. There are other brands available, but
yeah,
I recommend.
Well, I use the classic Adobe products, so Premiere for videos.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I used After Effects a little bit on my video application for DestinationZero, and the last one as well. Premiere and After Effects, they work very, very well together, and those were the things that I used, and also Illustrator for designing the data sheets.
And if someone was really new to creating video content, because I think those are tools that you can create kind of really kind of high quality output with, but certainly I find them a little bit intimidating.
Yeah, there's a learning curve definitely into these products. But the best thing is that once you learn one Adobe product, the others are kind of more intuitive. But I'm sure there are softwares that give you already ready templates that you can work with. And there are now online tools, a lot of them. I don't know them by name, but I know that they exist, that people can use the templates. I think that would help us well.
And I guess to your early points, there's also just some really simple, straightforward things about making sure that people are, making a clear, telling a clear story to the camera, being emotive, some of those kind of classic. That's not just about fancy technology. It's also just about, have you told a really clear, really simple story that lets someone understand in 60 seconds the value and impact of your idea.
Yeah, definitely. I think the story is the most important part of it. I mean, if editing a video, you don't have to use Adobe programs. There are many programs where you can just rearrange the visuals. The most important part is to create a creative way of telling the story. It could still be just a video and a conversation, but it can still be very creative. The camera could be moving. I'm gonna name another, but TikTok, right? People do amazing stuff on that app, and that app is like totally free. People could even use just the TikTok to create an incredible story, and it has a 60-second limit. So,
so you've got some natural support from the platform itself. It's going to really naturally keep to time. Yeah, and as you say, there's incredibly powerful, video editing tools built into so many social media apps these days that, I think no matter how much equipment you have, it's very possible to challenge yourself to produce a really emotive, powerful piece of content. So definitely, in my experience, is just go for it and have a bit of practice, and there you go. We're just about to move into the audience Q&A, but I wanted to just ask you kind of what next for you personally around congratulations on launching a new company. It's great to see you continue moving onwards and upwards. But yeah, just really interested to hear about kind of what's next now that you've completed the program.
So my company is called Studio Bligh, and we're tackling plastic pollution in our city. Istanbul is a very busy and populated city. We're producing a colossal amount of waste every day, and there's not enough storage to hold all the waste produced, and there's definitely not enough effort right now towards this issue. We formed Bligh to turn this around. We have 3 main goals. First one is to educate. We want people to understand what a valuable product plastic really is. and how beautiful it can be with the right treatment, and how inappropriately we use it today. We are creating a set of workshops where we will be educating people on how to recycle the process in a hands-on fashion. At the end of these workshops, we plan to create these beautiful design objects with the plastic that people brought and treated themselves. We hope that this will resonate with people. That's one of our projects that will happen, I hope, very soon in the future. And secondly, we want to create the circularity around plastics. And what I mean by this circularity is that we want to create a plastic recycling ecosystem within the city. So little collaboration between companies and institutions within the city of Istanbul to firstly kind of create this circularity as in the material so that it doesn't go to waste again. Treatments, facilities, maybe sorting facilities, also machinery providers, and also to create a kind of a viable business out of working with waste plastics, because that is a challenge right now. And lastly, this is kind of a motto, but we want to discover the true potential of plastic waste. So we're designers and we're really interested in new materials for design. And we want to create these products that won't ever see the landfills again, and that are conscious of the best use of waste plastics and their best properties like elasticity, strength, and aesthetics, as well as their weaknesses like microplastics or environmental weathering. So for us, the plastics are not the culprit in plastic pollution. It's their use and disposal that is the problem.
It's amazing to, one of the reasons I really enjoyed kind of working together was just seeing the kind of evolution. It was a great case study of innovation, I think, is kind of starting with some skills and a challenge. And as you were finding out new information and kind of executing in different ways, then it kept kind of evolving and growing. And actually, it's interesting to hear what the next stages. I'm looking forward to kind of catching up in more detail.
Yeah, there were a lot of help. Like talking to other people is so much help in the sense that half of this information comes from collaborating with people.
And if there was, one thing that you took away from the mentoring process, or just kind of through the journey, was there kind of one thing that you found really like a lesson that was particularly kind of impactful, or something that stuck with you?
From the process, or from the mentorship?
From the mentoring sessions, yeah.
Well, I kind of realized that every time I talk to you, I would have a different plan. And I would have like the Gantt charts and everything planned out, saying that this time it's going to be like this. And every time, actually, I think on our last session, I told you that my plans change all the time. And I think that's a reality, and making plans is very important. I still make these Gantt charts, nevertheless, because that is how you learn what the process is actually about. So I had been doing with my partners in Bligh, we have been doing something that we haven't done before. So planning for something we haven't done before was very difficult. So your kind of feedback on that always helped. But I always realized that I would show you totally different stuff every time we talked.
And as you say, that's the problem-solving process, right? It's not about having the perfect plan that you stick to forever. It's about working out, learning from the last plan and evolving and adapting, because that's innovation. Like, that's what's exciting about it too. And I think it's time for us to move on to any questions from the audience. So I think they're going to pop up on the screen, and you can probably read them yourself, but I can also ask them for you to, for anyone listening on voice. So we've got a question. Also, if you had to give your biggest piece of advice to succeed in your pitch in one sentence, what would your advice be to the next class of innovators? So yeah, if you had one piece of advice that would either help people kind of create an incredible outcome, or to maybe avoid a pitfall? If you've got 20 people who are in your position last time, what would really help them, do you think?
I'm trying to formulate a sentence. One sentence is challenging. I'm going to repeat myself, actually. I've been saying this for now. I think it would be tell the story rather than the project.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe?
Yeah. Well, and I think maybe you actually, if you don't mind repeating yourself, I thought it was really excellent advice that you gave just around the framing of that kind of content, which I think just kind of follows on from that question is, I think you were speaking around the problem and the impact, and just what's the content that you think is really critical to include in those 60-second pieces?
Yeah, again, I would say the normal. So what is the problem? And it's always nice to see from a person's perspective. So we're living our lives like this, and we have this problem. For example, in our daily life, we have to deal with this or this, kind of setting the normal, and then introducing the explosion. In a video, you can do this very dramatically, and setting the explosion, which is the innovation itself, and then the new normal. Maybe this part could be a little bit longer. The inspiration is in this part, telling how your life would change, how it would be better, in what sense, and why is it so important, basically.
No, really,
normal, explosion, the new normal, sorry.
No, really, really great advice. And I think certainly my recommendation would be, if you take anything away from this webinar, that would be, there's a pretty good foundation to build a great 60-second pitch on. I'll see if we have any other questions from the audience. Otherwise, I always have lots of things I'd like to ask you, but we should also double check whether there's anything else out there.
Maybe I can ask you a question.
Go for it.
How was mentoring for you? What did you find difficult or surprising?
Yeah, I think for me, I find it's a pleasure and a privilege, to be honest, to work with people to try and help them. They're often, and always in the case of this competition, very ambitious, talented people, and you get to kind of live in their world for a little bit and help them help them with their, both their struggles and their successes, to be honest, hopefully, of that kind of process of innovation. And it's always really fascinating. Your particular, you had deep expertise in the kind of specific area that you were working in, and that wasn't something that I knew about as a topic, but it was interesting that there was hopefully lots of crossover from a wider business sense of what's the kind of the process of commercialization and working with partners, and how do we kind of plan for strategy and budgeting. And it was for me, it should be a really collaborative process where both people are kind of learning something from it as well. So for me, it's always something I kind of thoroughly enjoy, and ensure that you can, I guess, both be a challenger and a supporter is what a mentor on this program should be. They hopefully would be helping you see things that perhaps you wouldn't see otherwise, but also just remind you that occasionally, innovation and entrepreneurship is challenging, but that doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It just means that you're doing something difficult. And as you said, you turned up at every session with a new, well thought through, detailed plan. So it was always really impressive to see how much energy was going in every month. Where I was like, wow, there's a whole new business that's popped up this time, which is both, really interesting from my point of view, but also, showed that you were really, I could see you kind of grasping some business model kind of challenges and really evolving your thinking and trying different things. And that's what these sorts of programs are. I think are really about is, trying to build something that helps create that vision that you have for the world, make it come true.
Yeah, and it's a very adaptive thing, I think, to create this kind of maybe a startup, maybe something like this. It has to adapt to the needs as well, so it kind of naturally changes all the time.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of a good thing, because it's early stage, it's ambitious, and it's adventurous, and at that point, it should be evolving rapidly. That's a good thing, and the fact that it is shows that the energy is going in to make that happen too.
Yeah.
So I think now you've asked me a question, the audience has asked you a question, and I've asked you lots of questions. I think we can go to our wrap up. I just wanted to say a huge thank you also to you for making the time to share your experiences and hopefully encourage everyone who's watching to put the video in.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for mentoring me, and thanks to British Council for giving me this opportunity.
Absolute pleasure. We have, I just want to double check that I haven't missed any kind of key content. One thing we're going to do is play the video in case that anyone missed it at the start. That has all the important information that you need to apply. Just a reminder that it's a 60-second video by the 29th of November. You need those hashtag DestinationZero and hashtag the climate connection in your video. If in doubt, you absolutely need to make sure that you do submit. If you don't submit, you're not going to find out how you get on. So please do. There's a webinar next week from Lulu O'Connor about scaling up a project. But yeah, thank you everyone very much for coming along, and thank you Aysel for sharing all of your experiences. And I think we'll now watch that final video to give everyone the full information.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
The DestinationZero competition is back, and once again, the British Council is calling all the innovators, thinkers, makers and doers out there to share your ideas and innovations on how to tackle the climate crisis. We first launched the competition in January 2021 and received hundreds of great submissions worldwide. Of those, we selected 10 finalists from the places where voices are often overlooked in the mainstream climate change conversation. These trailblazers were awarded a £5,000 grant and mentorship to develop their innovative ideas, and their journeys continue today. As part of the British Council's Climate Connection campaign, we're pleased to open DestinationZero once again, a youth innovation competition and a call to action for the next generation of climate change innovators on the front lines of climate change. We want to provide a platform where your voice and your ideas can be heard, seen, and brought to life. When it comes to climate change, we all share a common path, fate, and ambition. That is why we're looking to empower today's youth to build their own better future. So, what kind of ideas are we looking for? This time, we're targeting projects that help communities build climate change resilience in the following 3 areas. Urban, innovations that help to transform slums into healthy, clean, and safe cities. Rural, innovations that help rural farmers to adapt to changing climates. Coastal, innovations that protect homes and businesses from climate disasters. Once again, we're looking to support the next generation of innovators, so you must be between 18 to 34 years old to enter. To enter the challenge, please share a 60-second video using the hashtag DestinationZero and hashtag the climate connection on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube or TikTok. Please be sure to clearly state your first name, age, and where you're from. Then explain your climate change idea or innovation. The competition is looking for ideas that tackle the 3 impact areas. Nothing is too big or small to share. The challenge runs from the 15th November to the 29th November, but we highly encourage you to submit as soon as possible. If you entered last year, you can submit again. But please demonstrate how your project has progressed, evolved, or moved forward since your previous submission. On the 11th December, we, with the help of a global panel of judges and experts, will announce the top 30 candidates and their submissions, who will be invited to share further information about their concepts. From there, we will select the 10 finalists, with the best proposals receiving a 5-month mentorship and financial support in the form of £5,000 to help bring the idea or innovation to life. Don't forget to submit your video by the 29th November 2021, midnight UK time, using the hashtag DestinationZero and hashtag the climate connection. Once submitted, stay tuned. DestinationZero, an innovation challenge from the British Council's Climate Connection, putting faces to the places at the core of finding real solutions in the climate change conversation. One world, one goal, infinite possibilities.